Dogfish Head, 120-minute IPA. Before we begin this episode, I feel compelled to take a moment to salute Sam Calagione. In many ways, Dogfish Head revolutionized the craft beer industry. And when I'm designing a beer or a new cocktail recipe, I find traces of what that brand has taught me about fearlessness within creativity, mission-based design instead of for the masses. So, with that being said, thank you. Now, on to the episode. Dogfish Head Craft Brewing was founded in 1995 by Sam and Mariah Calagione. This fortuitous event took place in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. The name, Dogfish Head, refers to a jut of land in Southport Island, Maine, where Sam spent many summers as a child. For a period of time, Dogfish was the smallest commercial brewery in America. Things have changed since then, as their annual production hovers around 300,000 barrels. Dogfish also owns a distillery, a number of restaurants, and a lodging in downtown Lewis, Delaware. The 120-minute IPA is an Imperial India Pale Ale with roughly 18% alcohol by volume and 120 IBUs. The ABV is not stated on the bottle. The flavor profile given by Dogfish Head includes a sweet candy-like citrus pine aroma, a hoppy resinous palate, and a mouth-coating lingering bitterness. Let's give it a try. I poured it right down the center so you could see what the color of the head looks like. Just gorgeous off-white. Man, it's carbonated honey in a glass. They don't use honey in it, but this is kind of what happens at this age. Limited oxygen. It hasn't oxidized too bad, so the fruits are very dark. There's definitely no like cardboard or anything like that. This is just honey and stone fruit and tangerine and apricot, peach. I definitely understand the candy-like aroma that Dogfish explained in the flavor profile, because it does have that character. Not fake candy, not refined processed candy, but just getting some apricots and coating them in sugar and putting them in the oven and getting a bit of that kind of caramelized character on it. Yeah, wonderful, beautiful beverage. Having had this at several different ages, I've had it fresh, I've had it a year, this is a little over 2 years, and I've had one that's, I think it was around 3 years. This is the sweet spot. This is where I would drink it. So if you can find this in a store, let it sit for 2 years. The date should be on the bottle. It'll be worth your wait. This is great. Yeah, it's really good. Not as boozy as you would think. This should be right around 18% alcohol. There's no disclosure on the bottle. There's no ABV on the bottle. I know it's bizarre. But they say it's between 15 and 20%. I think the last video I saw that Sam was speaking on, he said 18% is the sweet spot. Gosh, Sauternes. If you've ever had a Sauternes, this is a French dessert wine. This is what it's like, but this is carbonated, of course. But it's got a coating honey character, full, just kind of rich and long finish. Tricky to pair with food. I would probably lean towards a cheese plate or some sort of dessert. This is big, you know, it'll overpower a lot of things, so I would say save this towards the end of the meal, or just say sit down with a friend to contemplate it, because it's going to change as the temperature changes and it warms up. New notes are going to show themselves, which is one thing I really like about complex beers like this, is that as the temperature changes, you see more of what the beer is. It's a lot of things. The layers change with that change in temperature. This is probably around 55 degrees at this point. I haven't stuck a thermometer in it, but having dealt with beer so much, that's going to be my guess. It's right around that. Definitely not 60 degrees yet, somewhere in the 50s. Oh gosh, honey. It's very good beer. I would definitely recommend finding a young one if you can get your hands on it and comparing it to one of them with a little more age, because there's some serious differences. The young 120 minute, which most people have had, is just booze, sweet booze. It's just like a young barley wine. This is so similar to the way that a barley wine needs time. This is the right time. 2 years, for sure. It's a fantastic beer. Yeah, really delicious. The 120-minute IPA is released twice a year in select markets and in small quantities. If you see one on the shelf, I highly recommend grabbing one. Make sure to pour this into a glass with some curvature on it. I would not recommend pouring this into a traditional pint glass or drinking it from the bottle. Cheers.